everyone, Brian here with the Japanese whiskey review, and today I'm going to talk about Japanese Mizunara Oak. Oh, by the way, welcome to my home on the beautiful Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. So today I'm talking about, you would have seen in the thumbnail a picture of Dewar's 8-year-old Japanese Mizunara Oak finish, and there's a reason for that, and I'll get back to that. So let's talk about Japanese Mizunara Oak. And there's one thing that is absolutely for certain, is that it is extremely hard to work with. It's extremely porous, so the angel share is huge. So there can be an argument to an extent for the cost. You know, if you mature whiskey for long enough in Mizunara Oak and you come back and half the barrel's gone through evaporation, you want to get some sort of return on it. So I'm going to use Chichabu as a bit of an example, Chichabu whiskey distillery, and how hard it is to work with Mizunara Oak. I've seen photos that these guys have showed me, and they go and pick their own trees. They go to the Hokkaido. They go into the forest and they pick the trees they want to use to make the barrels out of. And when they first started, they had to get this old retired cooper, Japanese cooper, that could work with Mizunara Oak. Excuse me. That could work with Mizunara Oak. You'd worked with it before. Because people that can actually make barrels out of Mizunara Oak, they're not just lying around. And people like Suntory aren't going to loan out their people to other distilleries. It takes years and years, decades to master making barrels out of Mizunara Oak. So when they got this guy to come in to Chichabu and show them how to make barrels, their first attempt, and I saw a picture of this, their first attempt on their own cask, the picture I saw was basically a barrel that had disintegrated. That's how hard it is to work with. Now, I can't remember how long this whiskey had been sitting in there, but there was time, there was effort, and the liquid was just on the barrel room floor, disintegrated cask. So again, very difficult to work with. Now, Chichabu, for instance, has nutted it out because they do have pretty well aged Mizunara Oak barrels now. Now, I've tasted one, I think it's was about 8 or 9 years old, and it was excellent. But was there something unique about it? Now, there's a reason why I've got the Dewar's bottle in the thumbnail and using it as an example. There's a couple of reasons. Well, I don't have a Japanese Mizunara Oak whiskey just lying around. What I have had, I've finished, and I'm not going to go out and spend thousands of dollars picking up a Mizunara Oak matured whiskey. Now, if you're having any sort of hibiki, you are drinking a whiskey that has Mizunara Oak matured whiskey in the blend. And drop a comment about how you feel about Mizunara Oak, and it doesn't make a difference. So getting back to the Dewar's, I've had many bottles of Dewar's White Label. I'm a fan of their 12-year-old blend. I've just polished off a couple of bottles of their 18-year-old, and I've also tasted the 15-year-old. So there's your baseline. So how does this compare, or those compare, to the 8-year-old Mizunara Oak finished Dewar's 8-year-old? Now, to my mind at least, it doesn't taste like the other Dewar's. it's to me a fruitier whiskey. But is there something uniquely oriental about the flavours that you can put your finger on? So one of the things that people talk about with Mizunara Oak is, you know, notes of coconut, of incense, things like that. But I don't pick that up. I can get a normal, you know, another Japanese whiskey that has nothing to do with Mizunara Oak, doesn't have any Mizunara Oak in it, and I can get oriental flavours from it, you know, incense, things like that. So with the Dewas, fruitier, but nothing I can pinpoint that screams something different. And if I think about coconut, I think about Springbank, because I get coconut notes in Springbank, and it kind of really shines, for me at least, with Springbank, to pick up a coconut note. Excuse me. But I don't find that with Mizunara Oak finished, or Mizunara Oak matured Japanese whiskey. The only one that I have tasted, going back to Chichabu, is that single cask that I had that really stood out. But again, I couldn't put my finger on it. It was just a good whiskey. It was cask strength, so it was maybe 60%, around 60% ABV. You know, and it was full of flavour. But again, what was unique about it? If I described it, just say there was, you know, fruits of lychees, but I get that with other Japanese whiskies as well. Not all of them, but some of them. Melon, I get that with other whiskies as well. There wasn't anything that really stood out to me. So does Mizunara Oak whiskey have anything that stands out, that makes it different? And I'm sure the people at Suntory, because they put it in Hibiki blends, and I've had it in other Suntory blends, think there is. It does have something that works with other casks as well. But personally, I have not found anything particularly unique about Mizunara Oak matured or finished whiskies. So let me know in the comments what you think. What's your experience? If you've had Hibiki, do you think there's something different to other blends in it, about it, with the Mizunara Oak in it? Have you tasted a fully matured Japanese whiskey, only matured in Mizunara Oak? Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video. And bye from the beautiful Gold Coast.